Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Hello, Ima.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, this is Dima Sharma. On behalf of QAI, I'm going to host the webinar on the topic Awareness Webinar on Overview of ISO IEC 17025-2017, Achieving Global Recognition with QAI Accreditation. So I hope everyone, am I audible? Hello? I'm not getting any response from anyone.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So welcome to this webinar. So as we discussed, this is the topic visible on the screen. As the slide is visible on the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are going to start the webinar. Let's start. The topic is as visible on the screen. Webinar awareness webinar on overview of ISO IC 17025-2017, achieving global recognition with QA accreditation. Getting moved. Okay. Not getting moved. PPT move now. PPT move need. Okay, so this is the agenda as visible on the screen. Introduction to ISO IC 17025-2017, role of accreditation in enhancing quality and credibility, benefits of QAI accreditation for testing and calibration laboratories. Then we are going to discuss about the steps to achieve the QAI accreditation, followed by the question and answer session. So the main topic is basically ISO IEC 17025/2017. This is the standard on which we are giving accreditation to the testing as well as the calibration laboratories. So it is an international standard published by the International Organization for Standardization that specifies the general requirements for the competency to carry out test or calibration. And these requirements outline what a laboratory must do to become accredited. So we will have a thorough discussion about what are the requirements that a lab needs to have for the accreditation. Here, the ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization. It is the world's largest developer and publisher of international standards. And here, the IEC stands for International Electrotechnical Commission, which is also the world's largest leading organization, which prepares and publicizes the international standards for electrical, electronic, and related technologies. So this standard basically applies to all the organizations performing tests or calibrations. It applies to all the laboratories, regardless of the number of personnel which are working in the lab or the extent of the scope they are having. Testing or calibration activities covered by this international standard. The standard comprises of 8 clauses. The first one is scope. The second one is normative references. Third one is terms and conditions. So basically, all of the 3 clauses which are in the initial phases, these are general clauses. In the scope, the general requirements are being mentioned for the consistent operation of the laboratory. Then we have normative references. Again, this refers with the vocabulary of the standard. And in the terms and definitions, there is a mention of ISO IEC 99 guide, which clears about the each and every term which is mentioned in the standard. So this is the flow chart. As you can see in the flow chart, the main clauses are there. Like from 4 to 8 clauses are there. The fourth one is general requirement. The first one is 4.1 impartiality. The second one is 4.2 confidentiality. Fifth clause is structural requirement. Sixth is resource requirement. Then we have sub-clauses of the resource requirements, 6.1 general, 6.2 personal, 6.3 facilities and environmental conditions, 6.4 equipment, 6.5 metrological traceability, 6.6 externally provided products and services. Then we have 7th clause, which is related to the process. So these basically, it focuses on the process requirements. 7.1 review of request tenders and contracts. 7.2 selection, verification and validation of method. Then we have 7.3 sampling. 7.4 is handling of test or calibration items. 7.5 is technical records. And then we have 7.6 evaluation of measurement uncertainty. 7.7 assuring the validity of results. 7.8 is associated with the reporting of results. 7.9 is complaints. 7.10 is non-conforming work. And then we have 7.11 control of data, information management. And this is the 8th clause, which is related to the management system requirement. We have 8.2 management system documentation, 8.3 control of management system documents, control of records is 8.4, 8.5 is actions to address risk and opportunities, 8.6 is improvement, 8.7 is corrective actions, 8.8 is internal audit, which is also one of the major clause. And then we have 8.9, this is management system, management reviews. So it basically focuses on the requirement of the management system, MRM. So now we are going to have a thorough discussion. What is the clause about? And we are going to give the explanation. I will be trying to explain everything. So the first subclause is basically 4.1, which is impartiality. So the presence of objectivity, it is related basically to the presence of objectivity. There should be no conflict of interest, whether it is related to the commercial interest, financial or relationship interest while having the laboratory operation. Then we have 4.2 confidentiality. it emphasizes on specific cases where confidentiality could be affected. So basically, for example, I'm going to give you the example that most of the laboratories are having the customer's information. So if they are going to put any particular information of a customer to the public domain, they should at least have a, prior information to the lab, and they must take the consent from the lab, from the customer's end, that they are going to put their information in the public domain. So, and there should be confidentiality among the staff of the lab also, so that there should be a smooth operation in the lab. Then we have structural requirement. So a particular lab should be a legal entity. Okay, so the legal entity is like it should be responsible for any legal operation, and the lab should be very clear whether it is a legal entity or it should be a part of particular organized legal entity, so that it should have that responsibility of legal operations. Then we have it should have a proper management and organizational structure, including any parent organization. Everything should be well structured. Then we have authorized personnel. It is also one of the important factor of the operation of the lab, that the lab should have the person to authorize the test reports, and the proper job description should be there of each and every person who is working in the lab, whether it is related to the authorization of the test results, or is it related to the technical staff, or everything. That should be very much clear in order to avoid or identify deviations and take action to achieve improvement. Then we have resource requirements. So the first one is 6.1 general, and which basically encompasses all the requirements which are all about the resources which are required to function in the lab. For example, we need person. So 6.2 basically focuses on the person. The person should be competent enough. It should have, whether it is related to the training part or is it related to the qualification part, the person should have that, competency to perform the laboratory activities without any error. And then we have, same goes for the records also. So lab should maintain all the records, whether it is related to the training of the personnel or it is related to anything which is given apart from the training, from the regular work. They should have that maintained technical personal records. Then we have facilities and environmental conditions. The lab should have proper facilities and environmental conditions. That means for example, the lab should have AC or humidifier, which is required in order to have that appropriate temperature, so that the results cannot, get impacted. So humidifier, AC and everything. And apart from that, lab should have a proper facility and environmental monitoring record should also be there. So if a particular instrument requires a particular temperature or something, that should be there so that the results cannot be impacted. Then we have 6.4 equipment. The lab should have access to all the equipments which are required for the operation of the, lab. In case if their lab is not having that particular equipment, they can also procure from other side, and they should know about all the conditions which are required in order to have that particular environment to maintain the equipment. Then we have 6.5 metrological traceability. So this clause basically focuses on it is the property of measurement result, which is being established through the documented unbroken chain of calibrations. So this also focuses on the part of that more or less related to the validity of results, that the results which is lab is basically giving to the customer, that should be validated. And then we have 6.6 externally provided products and services. So I have told you that most of the times, if the lab is not having reference materials or something, they procure from other care services. So they should know about all the there should be a particular procedure to procure the products and services from the outer environment. And apart from that, they should know about all the conditions which are required. For example, the temperature should be known to the lab to retain the reference materials and everything, so that the instrument or equipment, whatever they are getting from the outer side, that should be well maintained, and the result should be okay with that. Okay. Then we have process requirements. This section specifies requirements for the operational processes of laboratories, incorporating both management and technical requirements. So the first subclause is basically related to the review of request, standards, and contracts. So whatever the lab is, if the lab is having some external testing from the outer sources, there should be a particular procedure to address that. So this is more related to the whatever the contracts are there, that should be there. If the lab is having some external services or something. Then we have 7.2. This is also one of the major subclause under the process requirements. Basically, it is selection, verification, and validation of the methods. Just hold on. So the selection, verification, validation of method is crucial for the technical validity of results issued to the customer. For example, if a lab is having some non-standard method or an in-house developed method, that should be validated. And then so that the results which are being issued to the customer are basically, compliant. So there should be particular validated method. If they have developed some non-standard or in-house method, there should be there. And of course, the result should be verified also. So that is a procedure, and this is also one of the major clauses which is pertaining to the validity of results. So that should be there. Then we have 7.3 sampling. So most of the labs basically are part of sampling also. So there should basically when it comes to the sampling, there should be a particular procedure. So wherever the sampling is done, like there is a particular procedure to do that. There should be a sampling person. There should be a particular norm to do that. How the sampling plan should be there, and the date of sampling should be there, and everything should be there. So that should be recorded. Sampling record should be there, and the person who is doing the sampling should be well equipped and well trained, because there is a lot of error which happens during the sampling also, and that also kind of impacts the final results also. So there are a lot of errors which comes in the sampling. So that should be a particular thing which should be focused by the lab in order to avoid or eradicate the errors in the final outcome. Then we have 7.4 subclause, handling of test or calibration items. So this particular subclause is basically related to, again, with the handling part, that the calibration items or the test items should be well handled. There should be a particular procedure. Again, because if a person doesn't know or technically competent to handle all these, or how to retain all those reference materials, everything, so there should be a particular procedure. SOP should be there in order to handle the test or calibration items. Then we have 7.5 technical records. All the records, like for example, of course, it is related to the reporting of the results and everything, and SOPs and everything should be well maintained. Instruments calibration, environmental monitoring record, thing should be well maintained in the lab, so that in the final outcome, if someone wants to have some traceability regarding something, so they can have that. Then we have 7.6 subclause that is related to the ensuring the validity of results. So basically the results are being validated through the IQC process. So that is basically an internal quality control process, which is being done by the lab. For example, that can be done through the calibration, or that can be done through the retesting or recalibration of same methods, or it can be done by the different method. Then we have blind sample testing. So these are part of some IQC record in order to validate the results, which lab can do from their end. Instead of from the outer side, they can do by themselves. Repetition of test, retesting of calibration items. These are some things which can be done by the lab from their end. Then we have 7.8 reporting of results. So again, the result should be well verified, and that should be authorized prior to the final release. That should be re-verified from a kind of organizational person who are being involved in the verification process. That should be clear. So then we have 7.9 complaints. So lab basically, whenever there are a lot of chances that lab gets the complaint from the outer side. So there should be a particular procedure in order to address those complaints. There should be a record of complaint, and there should be some kind of action to be taken in order to minimize the errors. Then we have 7.10 non-conforming work. Again, this is related to some if the lab has done something wrong, that is more likely non-conforming work. So if they have done that, they need to have a particular procedure to address that in order to minimize the risk which are being associated with that. Then we have 7.11, control of data and information management. This is more or less related to the, basically they should have a record of, like we know that laboratory information management system is there, LIMS. So that should be there, so that there should be a particular clear traceability regarding the document maintenance and everything. Then we have management system requirements. This clause basically focuses on the requirements of management system. The purpose of the management requirements in this section is to ensure that the overall structure of the management system is in place to support the upholding the policies and objectivities of the laboratory. Then we have 8.2 management system documentation. There should be SOPs in order to maintain that management system. Then that should be properly implemented. And then we have control of management system documents. All the documents should be well controlled. Records should be there, 8.4. And 8.5 is more related to the actions to address risk and opportunities. If in case there is, of course, we need to clarify that if there is identification of risk and opportunities, then the final things would be very much clear. If a lab identifies that, then the final outcome would be good, and there are very less chances of errors. Then we have 8.6, improvement. The lab should have a particular procedure, and from timely manner, they need to improve the things. Then we have 8.7, corrective action. If in case a certain thing has been done, like non-conforming or something, so there should be a particular record of the corrective actions which they have taken to address the non-conforming. Then we have 8.8. It is one of the major clauses because it is also one of the part that lab needs to apply during the accreditation, that they should have an internal audit program. So basically, the lab should conduct the internal audit, and the frequency of internal audit should also be very clear. Whether they are going to conduct in 6 months frequency or in annual, whatever is their policy, that should be prepared and well implemented. So that should be predefined. Okay, then we have 8.9, management reviews. The standard requires that the laboratories reviews their management system at suitable pre-planned intervals to ensure its ongoing applicability, capacity, and perform capability. Then the internal audit should be followed by the MRM, where all the points are being discussed which are done during the internal audit, so that the final outcome can be good about it, and the compliance should be there. Then we have, this is the role of accreditation in enhancing quality and credibility. So we are going to discuss about the benefits, what accreditation is basically offering to the labs. So first we will start, what is the accreditation? So accreditation is the independent third-party evaluation of a conformity assessment body, such as laboratory, inspection body, or certification body, against recognized standards, conveying formal demonstration of its impartiality and competency to carry out specific conformity assessment tasks such as certification, inspection, and testing. So basically, this words basically more related to the competency. It evaluates the competency and through the third-party attestation process. So here the conformity assessment body addresses to the laboratory, inspection body, and certification body. So these are the benefits of accreditation as visible on the screen. International recognition, access to global market, time and money efficient. So basically it saves the time and it is money efficient, and it gives the international recognition to the labs through the accreditation body having ILAC, APAC, MRA, and basically it gives access to the global market. More credibility is there, as the customers of the labs also find them reliable when it comes to the results. And then we have enhanced customer confidence and satisfaction, which I have told you about, that the customer feels more have confidence regarding the results. Then we have robust quality management system, continual improvements. Then we have better operational control, assurance of accurate and reliable results, cost reduction. So basically it minimizes sometimes the loss also, because everything is well maintained, because during the accreditation process, most of the labs get to know about whole management system documentation and everything. So they maintain that during the accreditation process, which kind of minimizes the further loss which can happen due to the errors in the results or testing or something, that can also be avoided. So it kind of help in cost reduction also. Then we have prevent loss due to defects, which I have already told you. So let's start and give you the quick overview of QAI. So this is the accreditation body with global recognition. This is our vision, nurturing the largest global pool of organizations and people through quality improvement and accreditation framework. We have values related to be our listener, competitive, transparency, innovation is there. We have a mission to conceive and deliver education, training, accreditation, and related programs in partnership with stakeholders using an approach of co-design and co-creation. So this is the accreditation body. It is basically a global accreditation body which provides services in education, training, quality improvement, and pertaining to the accreditation and certification to the various domains of the industry. So we are going to have a discussion on that in further slides. So basically we are having APEC, ILAC, MRA signatory for, that signatory for medical and ISO 15189 and testing ISO IC 17025 since 31 October 2022. This is the organization structure. So we have Center for Education and Training, Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care, Center for International Accreditation, Center for Accreditation of Veterinary Facilities. These are our programs. So basically we give accreditation for the medical laboratories as per ISO 15189. Then we give the accreditation to the testing laboratories as per ISO IC 17025. We give recognition to the medical laboratories as per the requirements of Central Clinical Establishment Act, and we give accreditation to the calibration laboratories again with as per ISO IC 17025. We have biobanking accreditation as per ISO 20387. We basically work on inspection body accreditation as well. So we give accreditation to the inspection body as per ISO IC 17020. Accreditation for the PTP as per ISO IC 17043. Accreditation to the reference material producer as per ISO IC 17034. It is India's second largest accreditation body in laboratory accreditation. So as visible on the screen, we have presence in around 11 countries right now. You can see on the map, this is Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Qatar, Bahrain, South Africa, Ghana, and Morocco. So we have given accreditation to the labs pertaining to these regions. So we have a global accreditation service. These are our international recognitions. We are associated with the app. We are APAC. We are having APAC Mutual Recognition Agreement for the ISO 15189 effective from 31 October 2022. And for the testing laboratories, ISO IC 17025 effective from 31 October 2022. This is our ILAC MRA. We are authorized full member of an authorized signatory, MRA signatory of the International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation. For the ISO 15189, which is effective from 10 December 2022. And for the ISO IC 17025, which is also effective from 10 December 2022. So these India Testing Lab program is being accepted by and not limited to Bureau of Indian Standards, Eastern Railway, Central Public Works Department, Directorate General for Quality Insurance, Power Finance Corporation, Coal India Limited, Legal Metrology Department of Consumer Affairs, National Highway Authority of India, Military Engineering Services, Power Grid Corporation of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Rights Limited, Public Works Department, MP Government, Rail Bhopal, Directorate, Urban Administration and Development, MP Bhopal, National Buildings Construction Corporation. International Testing Lab Program, which is being accepted, but not limited to United States Environmental Protection Agency, formaldehyde testing in wood or wood products, United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, World Organization of Animal Health. This is our accreditation mark. So these are some special and salient features of QAI accreditation program. So comprehensive assessment management system to allow quick turnaround time for the accreditation process as each step is linked to a defined period. So there is a quick turnaround time for the whole accreditation process. Then there is no mandatory pre-assessment to reduce the turnaround time. So pre-assessment is optional for the labs, applicant labs. Then we have introducing a new concept of self-assessment and providing opportunity to labs for a thorough review of their documentation and implementation of requirements of ISO IC 17025. Our process ensures continuous support to our clients in handling their queries, as each lab is unique in itself. Rigorous assessor management system, including a transparent monitoring and evaluation mechanism for all impaneled assessors. Open to hear the voice of all, keeping client first. We have a harmonized local, national, regional, and global framework. Blend of global strategies, their experience and leadership. Unique fee structure. So basically, we have a unique fee structure across the global based on economy of the country, World Bank classification. Comprehensive fee structure. So only the throughout the 2 years accreditation cycle, lab has to give the fees only 3 times. That only in the initial year they have to give the application, and followed by the 2 times annual accreditation fee. So which is quite easy for labs also, and there is not that much complexity when it comes to the fee part also. Then we have economic yet global mode. This is the eligibility of QAI accreditation. So what a lab should, submit during their accreditation if they are going to apply. So the applicant laboratory must comply with all the clauses of ISO IC 17025:2017. This is the basic requirement. They should have they should comply with all the clauses mentioned in the standard. Then we have applicant laboratory shall satisfactorily participate in at least one PT program or EQA prior to gaining accreditation in each discipline applied. So at least there should be participation of one PT program in each discipline. That is our minimum requirement. Then we have, if no suitable PT program is there, in case, for example, there are a lot of commodities whose PT is not available, or parameters whose PT is not available globally or in India, then we can consider inter-laboratory comparison in that case. And the lab should basically participate with adequate number of accredited CAP or engage into other types of inter-quality control checks. So in that case, we can accept ILC. That is a conditional thing when the PT is not available. Then we have the applicant laboratory must have conducted at least one internal audit and a management review before the submission of application. This is quite mandatory for the lab to have the internal audit followed by the MRM. That minutes should be properly recorded and everything. Then we have steps to achieve QAI accreditation. How a lab can achieve the QAI accreditation? These are some basic documents they need to submit, like soft copy of completed application form that is available on website. Then we have soft copy of self-assessment management toolkit, which ensures the lab to have that self-assessment, and so that they can have confidence that they are complying as per the requirement of the standard. So that is basically filled by the lab, and they submit to the QICI Secretariat. Then we have a soft copy of quality manual or management system documentation that should be there. Prescribed application fees should be submitted by the lab along with the application form. And soft copy of signed QAI 002 terms and conditions should be signed by the lab for obtaining and maintaining accreditation or certification. So these 5 things should be submitted by the lab while applying for the application. That is very much clear. So this is the process as visible on the screen. The application is first basically submitted by the lab along with a self-assessment management toolkit for the documentation review. Then the basically acknowledgement is done of the application by the allotted QAI Secretariat, and the person acknowledges and gives some reference number that is more like a lab ID to the CAP. Then we have document review and quality manual adequacy. So basically this process is QMS adequacy, which is done by the lead assessor. So basically the lab gives the consent and for the allotment of the lead assessor, and while having the approval from the higher authorities from the QI, we allot lead assessor for the QMS adequacy, which takes around 7 days to have that proper documentation review. And in case if there is something, to be done, then we give the time, 15 days time to the lab to rectify that. Then after all the QMS adequacy is being done, we do the final assessment. We keep the final assessment by having some 3 tentative dates from the lab's end, and then we'll have a proper approval for the allotment of the assessment team. And after the approval, we final assessment is done. Then after the final assessment, review assessment report is being done by the QACI secretariat. That is more like a submission of assessment report by the assessors and to the secretariat and to the lab. Then the lab take the corrective actions, like feedback to the laboratory and necessary corrective action taken by the laboratory. So on the basis of assessment report and the NCs which are being raised in the assessment report, so lab takes the corrective actions and submit it to the QACI secretariat and the assessors for the closure. Then we have recommendation for the accreditation by the panel of reviewers. So after once the NC is being closed from the assessor's end, so basically a panel of reviewer is being allotted for the final recommendation so that they can have a final look on the NCs and the corrective actions and they can give their final recommendation on a prescribed format. So then once the reviewers gives the recommendation, then the approval of accreditation is done by the CO sir. So QICI secretariat sends all the documents for the approval. And then after the like certificate and accreditation summary approval, then we have issue of accreditation certificate by the dealing officer to the, and then we have application for again the for the 6, like we have a 2 months accreditation cycle. So lab needs to apply at least prior to 6 months so that they can have the continuity of the renewal. And there should be no breakage in order to avoid that breakage of accreditation. They should at least apply for 6 months because the accreditation process also takes time. So that is the thing. Thank you. This was being part of the whole process. So now we can continue with the question and answer. So this is the question. Ma'am, that scope is pharma, environmental, and food as per FSSI category wise. It is not mandatory of matric or group wise participation in PT. So, ma'am, for the regulatory bodies like FSSI or something, there is a different thing. But as per QI process of having that PT, there is a requirement of one PT per discipline. Okay, so Sandhya Yadav ma'am has asked like what is the difference between PT and IELTS? So basically, PT is again the evaluation of competency of a particular analyst, where against the predefined criteria, like there is would be a random sample which will be provided by the PTP provider to the labs, and then there would be a comparison of the result. And ILC here is basically related to the interlaboratory. It is basically interlaboratory comparison. So here the interlaboratory comparison is being done between the labs. So this is being initiated by the labs and this is different. Like it is basically comparing the results of different labs from the PTP's end. So that is the thing. So Manjusha ma'am has asked like before accreditation at least one PT per discipline, after accreditation entire scope to be covered in 2. Yeah, this is the clause associated. This is the you can refer 005 also. This is related to the PTP participation document. You can have a look on that also. So you have to cover when you are applying for a particular scope. So you have to at least cover one PT in a per discipline. And then for the entire, which is being, lab has to basically submit 2 years PT plan also. So they need to cover whole PT plan throughout a span of 2 years. So that is the requirement. So is there anything which anyone want to ask? Because I have just read the questions from the chat section only. So if anyone wants to ask, they can unmute them and may ask me question and I will try to clear them. Is there any query pertaining to the accreditation process, QA accreditation process, or anything related to the documentation or everything? You can ask now. Am I audible? or not. No one is asking me questions. Like I have just read from the chat section only, which I have tried to address from my end. In case if anyone would be having any doubt apart from my clarification, they can also ask us on our official mail ID also. We will definitely going to revert as app. And we would like to address your queries on the call also. There is a contact number which is being provided on the QA website and everything. So you can coordinate with us also. So can everyone switch on their camera if it is comfortable at their end? Question. Okay. How are you better than NABL? Okay, sir. So definitely we are not just we are a new accreditation body. We have been working here and operational here since August 2017. But when it comes to the work, and I have also shown in the PPT that there are a lot of salient features over here. Like we have a time reduction is there. We have a effective way of working, and we are very much, when it comes to the listening part to the customers, and we are mostly associated with the satisfaction of customer as well. So that is a thing. And we are also having, for example, we are having international recognition, as well as we are being recognized by a lot of, government organization like Military Energy Services, BIS is there, Eastern Railway, Central Public Works Department, Power Finance Corporation, Coal India Limited, Legal Metrology, Department of Consumer Affairs. So a lot of, reputed organizations are being, have trust on us. So if a lab, wants to get associated with them, with us, so definitely we have that, good thing about it. So, and apart from that, we address the queries of lab in a more efficient manner. So that is a thing. And it is the process of achieving your accreditation when it comes to the documentation process also, it is quite easy. For example, we have this self-assessment toolkit that also, allows the labs to have that self-assessment by themselves. And then we have a QMS adequacy processes there. Then we have review process, which kind of saves the time also, and it is very efficient also. So that is a thing. And so this is the way, and we would be very happy if the new customer, put the trust on us. And we are having a lot of international laboratories as well that I had already shown in the global map view, that there are a lot existing 11 countries with which we are basically giving, on which we are providing services pertaining to the accreditation. So that is the thing. We have a global reach also. So that is the thing. And I hope I have answered your question. So is there any our process is faster? Yes, sir. Is there any difference between process to get APEC ILS? Sir, we have a mutual recognition agreement with the ILAC APEC. So yeah, you have to once because we are basically a official author mutual recognition agreement. So you can apply for that ILAC APEC ILAC mark also, accreditation mark in the application. So if I have addressed all the queries, or is there anything which someone wants to ask? We have time. We have 5 minutes left. So I hope. If someone wants to ask, they can ask me on the chat section, as well as they can unmute themselves. Okay, so we have got a question that can you brief on the fee structure? So, yes, sir, ma'am. If a lab is applying for the first time, I would like to give you that example. They have to first give this application fee. There is no, apart from that, there is no other charge. They have to first give the application fee. Then apart from that, in the whole, if they get that accreditation, they have to give the annual accreditation fee. before issue of the certificate. That is done. But then in the next year, the ongoing monitoring is the one of the process which happens in order to check the compliance. So the lab has to submit second time annual accreditation fees. So in the throughout 2 years of span of accreditation cycle, there are just three invoices which are being raised from our end, and there is no complexity when it comes to the overhead charges or assessment charges. There is no applicability of that. So it is quite much, easier and faster process as compared to other accreditation bodies, which we can say. So this is also one of the, merit of QAI, that we have a very simple and smooth process of having that accreditation fees. Yes, sir. We are being associated, like you have just asked, that is government accepted your accreditation? Like, yes, yes. Yes, sir. So we are basically, I have just shown you in the slide also that we are being having the confidence of a lot of authoritative government organizations, reputed government organizations like BIS is there. Then we have a lot, coal organization is there. So I'm just going to tell you about that. Military Engineering Services, Power Grid Corporation of India, and Rights Limited, Bhel Bhopal, National Building Construction Corporation, Central Public Work Department, Eastern Railway, Coal India Limited. So whatever labs have been accredited from our end, they have got this confidence from these organizations also for the reliability of test results. So automatically everything becomes kind of national and having some having international as well as the national, confidence from the higher authorities. So that is the thing. Shall I show you the slides also? Like, if someone wants to have a recall on that, like what are the, so, uh, sir, FSSI is not accepted, but we have a lot of government organizations which are being associated with us now, right now. Only 1 minute is left. So can you, if anyone is having some issue, then that's up to them. But if everyone is, comfortable in switching on their camera, that then we can initiate to have the screenshot of the all the participants and everything. So if I would request everyone to switch on their camera. There is some feedback form which you have to submit, and you have to submit on that after filling that. So you can give your feedback on that. I hope I was able to give a thorough session on QA accreditation and this ISO IC 17025-2017 standard. And I know there are a lot of queries which there is some particular time frame which is given for the webinar, but I had tried my best to address all those queries. But in case if anyone is having some, even after the webinar, if someone is having some query, they can mail us on our prescribed mail ID, as well as they can contact on the official, they can contact his personal training program on ISO IC 17025-2017. So for that, you can visit on official website, because there are a lot of upcoming programs when it comes to the assessors training and standard and everything. So you can, it's a certificate training. Yeah. Yes, we do have. So you can even visit the website for the further information on that. And apart from that, if anyone is having some query, they can question, they can revert, or they can question on the mail also. We would like to, give you clarification on the same. Yeah, sure. I'm just telling you our official mail ID. This is our official mail ID. You can have a question, whatever query you have, you can inquire on that. This is our official website link, which is being provided for the further information. So that's it for the webinar part, sir and ma'am. And I hope it was a insightful session from our end. Thank you. Thanks a lot to everyone. So for being so patient and everything. So yeah, it was a very good session, which I hope you had a very, interactive section or good something in knowledgeable session when it comes to the knowledge. And for the further queries, you can revert on the mail on everything. Okay, bye. Have a nice day to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Okay, sir. We are just ending this session.